This is my post-match reaction video to the Tottenham Hotspur 1, Newcastle 2 Premier League defeat at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. A result that felt inevitable, probably inevitable knowing Tottenham's injury list. Then extra inevitable when you knew that Tottenham Hotspur then had an an illness outbreak in the squad this week. Trebly inevitable when you saw that Brandon Austin had to make his debut in goal for Tottenham Hotspur. I'll talk more about his performance. He got man of the match from Ali McCoist on TNT Sports. Really good for him. But then, when Tottenham Hotspur get an early goal and they get the crowd behind them, all you expect is some competency from the officials. And I'm sorry, but the equalizer that was given in just the 5th minute for Newcastle was some of the most shocking refereeing I've seen. And considering Spurs only lost by 1 goal, you cannot help but say that that refereeing has cost Tottenham a result today. Absolutely disgraceful. Tottenham's player, Lucas Bergvall, got to the ball first. He's trying to play the ball to his right back so that we can get in on a transition. And the ball hits the Newcastle player's hand and goes directly to their striker, who just plays one pass, and then Anthony Gordon scores. And from Spurs being on a transition, being 1-0 up, suddenly it's equalised. And that's what VAR is for me. It's for the shockers. It's for the goals that wouldn't exist if it wasn't for foul play. And that is foul play. Because even though it wasn't a handball on purpose, and even though the hand is by his arms, right, that stops it. And you know that it's definitely a foul and it's definitely wrong, because later in the game, the exact same thing happened in the halfway line with Dan Burn. He handballs it, the ref gives a handball, and then he must have deemed that to be a purposeful handball, so he has to be booked. Dan Burn had already been booked, and he doesn't book him. He bottles it instead. And for me, that is why Tottenham Hotspur have lost the game today. Tottenham today, as Newcastle, celebrate as if they've won the league, playing against a bunch of reserve teams, basically a team who are playing their 3rd choice goalkeeper who's never played a senior game in his life. In the end, Dragusin had to go off, so 0 fit centre-halves, having to play a right back and a central midfielder in centre-back, one of whom's 18 years old, the other who's like 23, never played centre-back in his life. Newcastle fans going at it like it's the biggest win of their lives. Embarrassing. Embarrassing. And lots of people in the comments on the watch-along I've been doing saying that Ange Postecoglou should leave. I'm sorry. Listen, I will say once again what I've said about Postecoglou is I feel a lot of the muscle injuries have to be down to the way that they train and the relentless nature of not taking any breathers on the pitch. But when he's faced up with a squad like today, when there's been an illness outbreak throughout the squad, and he's having to play players like Austin and having to play Jed Spence at centre-half, what more can he do? I think we just got to give the man the season, honestly, because it was like a training game for Newcastle, and actually in the second half, Spurs took them on and could have had maybe an equaliser or two. From Solanke chances, headers from across the box. So look, it is frustrating and it is upsetting. Of course it is, for Tottenham to have had just the most terrible Christmas and New Year period for the last 10, 15, 20 years. And this is an appalling season we're having at the moment. But until we're out of those cup competitions, and don't forget, a lot of you Spurs fans who are complaining right now will be the same Spurs fans that previous to this season were saying, I don't want another season where we fight for top 4. I want a season where we only care about the cup competitions. Well, you can guarantee, and based on a lot of the players who are on the bench today, you can guarantee that Big Ange Postecoglou is mainly concentrating on those cup competitions. And it'll be interesting to see against Liverpool in the first leg of the Carabao Cup this Wednesday, whether Liverpool rests some players. Because if they do, then I think Spurs can hopefully give them a game if they get some of those ill players back. I'll go through what happened in this game. I am frustrated. I'm mainly frustrated with people having a go at Ange on this one. What more can he do, honestly? It's the referee is just totally embarrassed. It's an embarrassment to the Premier League. They give those handballs in central midfield all day, every day. He did it with Dan Burn. So to not give the handball when Spurs are 1-0 up and it's outside our box, stopping our own transition and going straight to Newcastle from score a goal, for him to not give the handball on the pitch, disgusting. For VAR not to overturn it is a shocker, absolutely disgraceful. And I'm like Ange, I don't like to complain about referees too much, but for me that is an absolute piss take, honestly. An absolute piss take. And there's only 1 goal in it. We didn't concede a goal in the whole second half with Spence playing centre-back with Archie Gray. And that's why we lost the game. First half, We started really well. Early foul from Bergvall showing he wanted to get physical. I thought Lucas Bergvall played outstandingly today. He was unlucky to be taken off in the 60th minute for Yves Bissouma. But I don't know, maybe Bergvall will start against Liverpool. Werner took a corner in the 2nd minute. Werner started today. He was absolutely diabolical, I have to say. Dog shit. He shouldn't be seen in a Spurs shirt again. I feel for him. It's not his fault that he's lost all his confidence, but no longer should we be playing him. And then, 3rd minute, Spurs get their moment. A beautiful goal. Started with Brandon Austin, ball at his feet, plays a good ball into Porro. Porro finds Bergvall, who drives 55 yards up the pitch. Beautiful stuff. He lays it off to Johnson, who lays it back to Porro. First time cross, and Solanke with a Harry Kane-esque header into the far corner. Brilliant stuff. Some good defending from Archie Gray in the 4th minute. Headed it out ahead of Austin diving at a cross. And then the equaliser. I've spoken about it already. For me, it's an absolute fucking disgrace. Good finish from Anthony Gordon, sure. But when the referee's made such a big mistake, of course he's going to finish that off. Absolutely disgusting. 10th minute, Spurs won the ball high. Good chance for Solanke, but a good block from Dan Burn. Follow-up shot from Pape Matar was poor. Straight down the goalkeeper's throat. 15th minute, I made a note that the fans were chanting that the ref doesn't know what he's doing. And at that point, the fans were really behind Spurs. They were on it. The injustice was spurring the fans on, and Tottenham needed to just drive forward. But unfortunately, fatigue, as have we seen in all of these games recently, set in really early. And after kind of the 20th minute where Austin made a good save at the near post, and at this point, Austin had already come out and claimed a number of corners and crosses. He was doing really well. But at this point, other than in the kind of the 24th minute and the 27th minute where, 27th minute where a long shot from Porro went over the bar, Isak and Newcastle really kind of turned up after that. And the whole rest of the first half, Newcastle were all over us. Isak missed a sitter in the 31st minute, and then endless corners from Newcastle around the 34th minute, and their goal came in the 37th minute, across from Murphy, and Isak knocked it in at the back post. Solanke, unfortunately, who scored such a great goal, he had given the ball away from a Porro throw-in up the right-hand side. And for me, the one thing I'd say about Spurs, it's so easy to score against them. It's just kind of Spurs lose the ball in midfield and it's just 2 passes. Whereas every time Newcastle lost the ball in midfield, they had men back. They always had men back, and that's why Spurs found it so difficult. The rest of the first half, Spurs did have a corner in the 4th added minute of added time, but it was a good cross from Porro from a resulting break, and it was cleared at the back post. Second half, Reguilon came on for Dragushin, and that's when Spence started playing at centre-back, and I've just written, never seen an injury crisis like this. Injury or illness? Is Dragushin ill, or is it another knock? Who knows? Solanke had a good chance in the 46th minute, but fouled the keeper, and I think he even got booked. He was just going for a high ball. Ridiculous. I've written the 51st minute. This is like a training game for Newcastle at the moment. They got in down the left time and time again. Spence did well to block across from the byline, though. Bergvall showing tenacity in the 54th minute. A shot from Sarr saved. The rebound from Johnson hit the post. It was a really tight angle, though. He did well to get it on the post, to be honest. And in the 56th minute, Spurs had a few corners in a row, but then there was a counter from Newcastle. A shot from Anthony Gordon, well blocked by Gray, with a rebound from Gordon, then whacked over the bar. Kulusevski then broke Gordon's nose with an accidental shoulder barge in the box in the 58th minute. Then the 60th minute, the changes got made, and he brought on Bissouma, Maddison and Son for Sarr, Bergvall and Werner. I didn't want Bergvall to come off, neither did the crowd, and they booed that substitution. I have to say, I think that would be really good for Lucas Bergvall in the long term, though. He will see that the fans are behind him now. I think he had a good game, showed tenacity, got on the ball, drove forward with it. Good in the air as well for a little guy, Lucas Bergvall. Puts his body about. Good kid, I'm pleased for him. 65th minute, Austin claimed another free kick, brilliantly got winded for his troubles. 70th minute, and at this point, Tottenham now, with Newcastle kind of sitting back and just looking to hit us on the break, Tottenham really came into the game a bit. 70th minute, good play from Spurs led to a Decky cross straight into keeper's arms. More good stuff a minute later from Spurs, came across the box from Son on the left into the keeper's arms. Joe Linton got booked in the 72nd minute. Harvey Barnes came on for Newcastle, 76th minute. 78th minute, free kick, Spurs. Madders was fouled outside the box. And we whipped the ball in from Maddison, but it was good defending from Livramento, who impressed me today. Another player who was on Spurs' list back in the day, but we didn't pull the trigger on, and Livramento looks like a really good fullback. 81st minute, a huge chance for Johnson. Son had got in down the left, and it was a little bit of a few chances came to Solanke. One came to Solanke, he had his back to goal. He tries to set up Kulusevski. It's on his right foot, so he doesn't hit it. Laid it to Johnson, who just tries to put power on it, and in the end, he doesn't get it on target, and it whacks it across the box, and Solanke, it comes too quickly for him, can't get anything on it. And then there were 10 minutes of added time at the end, And Spurs made a few chances. Decky crossed one in for Slanky's header, but the keeper touched it over the bar. Of course, the referee didn't give it as a corner because he is a fucking idiot. Then Harvey Barnes had a chance saved. Austin was given man of the match, as I mentioned. And then the last effort, another cross and header from... the header came in from Solanke, and he got a lot on it. Porro's crossing excellent all day, but too much on it, straight down the keeper's throat, and Tottenham lose again. And I can guarantee you, Ange Postecoglou will come out in the post-match press conference. He said, my boys couldn't have given any more, and they couldn't. But the reality is, I said before the Christmas period, if we lost all 3 games, I could not see a future for Ange Postecoglou at this club, the way that Daniel Levy sacks managers. I think at the moment, with the way that the injury crisis has gone, with Udogie going down as another injury, I think with the illness, the way it's gone through the squad this week, I don't think Levy can and will sack him. I think he'll be given definitely the Carabao Cup semi-finals, maybe even the rest of the Europa League. And I just think, basically, he's come out this week in his interviews, Ange Postecoglou, and said none of those big players like Van der Ven, like Romero, like Davis are going to be back before February. So it's going to be more of this until February. We've got Liverpool this week. If they play their first team, I'm sorry, but we will get absolutely battered. We've got Arsenal away at the weekend. We will get absolutely battered. There's more of this to come. But for me, I don't see how he can make a change. Would you change it? Let me know in the comments. Would you bring Ryan Mason in as an interim? He's not going to get a manager in from elsewhere. And as far as I'm concerned, the way that it's gone for Amorim at Manchester United shows that to try and get a manager in from elsewhere, I think would be completely pointless anyway. But that does not take away from the fact that this is another devastatingly disappointing and inevitable result. Newcastle kind of knew all they had to do was put in 100%, put in the effort, and they would find a way to score goals because Tottenham are so easy to score against. And that's the only thing I can think is, if he did bring in another manager, would it be harder for teams to score against us? Possibly. But would that just mean that the players were kind of confused by the messaging and therefore the rest of the season would just peter out into nothingness? Maybe we just have to do what Ange said this week and try and grow from this, find ways through this time, get the players back around February, get into the next round of the Europa League and have the players on such a buzz that they got through this horrible period of time that maybe we can do something magical and surprising at the back end of the season. But listen, I know you'll be saying in the comments, Ange out, and I know how disappointing and frustrating this is at the moment. But for me, there's no other option. I just don't see Ryan Mason or another interim manager like Stellini was as an option. And I think it will just get worse before it gets better. I think stick with him. But let me know what you think in the comments, guys. That has been my instant match reaction. Please do give it a like. Please do subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate all of your support. Thank you.